Hey James, how's it going?
It's going great, man. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. So, thank you for meeting with me here today and doing this interview. I've got a lot of fans that are always asking me about you, and I'm very curious about you too. So, I figured I'd put together a little interview and ask you some questions to learn more about you personally and just get a better idea of who James Pelton is.
That sounds awesome, man. I'm an open book, so I'm happy to answer anything you throw my way.
Cool. I like that. Me too. So, let's get started with the personal questions first. So, I've heard in some of your videos that you refer to yourself as Jimmy. Do you prefer to be called James or Jimmy?
So I grew up as Jimmy, and then as I got into the business world, and especially online, I found people didn't take me as seriously when I was Jimmy. So I tried switching everywhere over to James, but then like my family and my grandma was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I called you Jimmy," and I was like, "You know what? That's fine. I don't really care either way." But online, I just go by James. Is just kind of how it is. But most people in person call me Jimmy.
Good to know. And where are you from?
So I was born and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska. So kind of middle of the Midwest, small town. It's a college town, so there's some things to do, but it's a great place to raise a family. So
Yeah.
I don't like the weather. We've thought about moving because of the weather, because it's like super hot in the summer and super cold in the winter.
Yeah.
But it's where we're at.
Come on down to Florida, man. It's awesome down here.
Yeah, I was down there. We went to Disney World and Universal Studios in February, and it was pretty nice. So I enjoyed down there for sure.
Nice. Well, I'm like 2 hours from there. So next time you're going to Disney World, hit me up. You can come bring your kids to tour our animal sanctuary here that my wife and I run.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that would be fun. Well, we made a mistake. We tried to hit like Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios. Next day, Universal Studios. The next day, and we were like, my kids were like, "Do we have to go on rides today?" And so I didn't plan the trip very well. We'll say that.
Yeah, at that point, it sounds more like a business trip or something. You're like, we got to be here at this time and here at this time.
Yeah, that's totally what it turned into.
Yeah.
So, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, cool. Lincoln, Nebraska. Nice. Yeah. My wife drive has driven through there quite a few times and said it's just like long stretches of nothing.
that's that's pretty, but yeah, especially if you go west. So we're like in the eastern part of the state, and if you drive west, there's like nothing for miles and miles and miles, and just flat. Like there's not even hills or anything.
Yeah,
But it's home. What are you gonna do? We feed the country, right? That's what we do.
that's true. You're part of the breadbasket.
That's right. That's right.
And I come from Ohio, and it's very flat, and there's a lot of country. That's what I'm used to. So yeah. All right. So you said you're a software engineer. So am I. Would you care to explain your software engineering background?
Yeah, so actually, I started when I was like a little kid, like second grade maybe. I remember going to the library, and I picked up like PHP for Dummies and
Yeah.
Java books. And I remember going camping. My parents were kind of like, "What's wrong with you? We're camping and you're reading like these computer programming books." They thought I was a little strange, I think. But I just really loved it that you could just build anything that you wanted, like just out of nothing. And
Yeah.
so then I went to school for that at the university here in Lincoln, and then I worked for a few different companies, like running e-commerce and things like that. Then I wrote my own software that sends out mass text messages. That was kind of like my big idea back in like 2010, and so I grew that business to we had ended up with like 20,000 customers and 11 employees, and
No way.
um, then I sold that company, and that's kind of where I got my money to kind of start investing. And then I started investing with stock market, real estate, private debt, things like that. And then found my way to crypto. And then that's where I haven't really looked back, haven't looked out of crypto for a while. So that's where I've been.
That's super cool, man. That's really interesting. In 2010, I had my own software company and I was doing work for clients. And one of the clients I wrote a PHP application to send out mass texts to all the employees about the updates on their schedules and stuff. I should have blown that up. Apparently,
Yeah, there's quite a market for it. So I
that's
remember, well, Steak and Shake got in touch with me, and they're like, "We want to send 2 million messages a month or something like that." And So that was kind of like where I really realized, oh man, there's going to be a huge market for this. Just need a few customers like that, and you have quite a sized business.
Wow.
So it was pretty fun running that.
That's amazing. And so you answered my next question about the business that you launched in 2011 and then sold for seven figures a few years ago. And I think I heard you mention in one of your last videos that you're 34, right?
Correct. Yep.
Me too. Cool, man.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good age. It's a good age.
It
I tell
is.
people I miss my 20s because when you're in your 20s, no one really expects much out of you. So if you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I have a job, they're like, oh, good job.
Yeah,
And
right.
if you get married, they're like, oh, great job. Oh, and you're having kids. But then in your 30s, people kind of start to expect more out of you. They're like, hey, what are you doing with your life? And you
Right.
don't get as many
I'm a
good jobs.
I'm a crypto degenerate and a YouTuber.
Right, right. Aren't you proud of me? Aren't you proud of me, mom? Yeah. So I miss that. So,
Yeah.
and we're starting to get to the age where we're not young men, we're just men, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of a weird transition, but it is what it is.
Yeah. The boyish charm starts fading away, and then like the rugged manliness, you kind of have to start owning it.
Right, right. Yep. Shave less often and just
That-
let it go. So,
That's right. Speaking of which, you mentioned before that you like fitness and working out. What kind of workouts do you do, and do you play any sports?
yeah, so I was big into football in high school. That was kind of like I had dreams of playing college football. It's kind of funny because it's like when I was in elementary school, I was like the best of the best. And then when
Yeah.
I got to junior high, I was kind of like above average. And then in high school, I was kind of average. And then by the time I started looking around at college, I was below average.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a humbling experience going from elementary football to into high school. So I really enjoyed that. I like playing basketball. I played a lot of hockey growing up. I will say my fitness has slowed down as I've gotten older. And especially now that YouTube has taken up so much time. When I first sold my business, I was retired. Like I had nothing to do at all.
Yeah.
And I worked out a lot. Like I lifted a lot of weights. I think I maxed out my bench at like 340 or something like that.
What?
Yeah, I was going crazy. I was working out for like 2 hours a day at least.
Man.
Um, then when YouTube kind of started back up and in crypto investing, I've had to back off. Some days like this morning, I went down for 20 minutes and I have those adjustable dumbbells from 10 to 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And then I pick those up, do some curls, do some triceps. And that's the extent of what I do now. So
Yeah. Cool, man. And I feel that when I went from junior high school, I was like the best of the best in wrestling in my whole league, and I just tore it up. And then I got to high school, and I was a freshman on varsity, and I wrestled like a senior who was like third at states in District One the year before, and he just annihilated me instantly and just like broke me. And I was just like, oh, this is different.
yeah, it's definitely a humbling experience as you get to the bigger pool and realize, oh man, I'm not as good as I thought I was. So,
Yeah. Well, cool, man. And then you've also mentioned your faith a lot. And would you care to tell me about that and your core values?
yeah, absolutely. So I love Jesus, and I believe really strongly in the Bible and what it says that we're all sinners and that there's a penalty for our sin, but Jesus came to earth and then he didn't sin, but then he died and paid the penalty for anybody who puts their faith in him. And so I really, one of my fears, there's a story in the Bible that Jesus tells about a man who gathers up all this wealth. And then when he fills up a barn, he's like, what should I do? Well, I'll build a bigger barn. And then he fills up that bigger barn. And then Jesus says, you fool, don't you know tonight your soul's required of you? And
Yeah.
so that's been a fear, as you start to accumulate wealth, like in crypto, is it's like, man, I don't want to just create this big amount of wealth and then you die and it was all for nothing. So I really want to make eternal investments. I try to teach people to, hey, plan for the future. But what I really want people to do is plan for the long-term future. Don't store up treasures here on earth where moth and rust destroy, thieves break in and steal, but store up treasure in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I live really strongly, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So I try to um, make what money I can and then use it to help what people I can. Is kind of how I try to live. So that's kind of my goal.
That's amazing. I think, especially in this space we're in, we need more of that where people have some kind of fundamental core values, whether, whatever religion they believe in, that they're believing in that golden rule where, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Especially in DeFi where there's so many scams and rug pulls and thieves and stuff like that. It's nice to have some people that you can like listen to, like you who are in this space, that like deep down you're not trying to get one over on somebody. So I think we need more of that.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I've just found so many people who think that making money will make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they get there, they realize it doesn't, and then they get even more depressed because they thought,
Yeah.
"Oh, I didn't have enough money. That's what was missing." But it's not. Like there's deeper things. So at the most basic, Jesus says it makes you happier to give than to receive. So I want to teach people like if you use your money to help other people, you will be happier.
Yeah.
Um, but then also just yeah, like in 10,000 years, what's going to matter and what's going to be important then? That's what makes something that really lasts. So yep, love to do that and share that with other people.
Well, that's an awesome message, and I share your faith as well. And I know it takes a lot to be so public about that. And I think Jesus says like he's the salt of the earth because it does separate people sometimes. So it's it's very brave and courageous to be able to be so public with that. So I respect that a lot. Um,
Well,
yeah,
thanks, man. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah, I kind of have realized that like th- there's a lot of people searching for something that I think that I've found, and so um, I don't know. I just would feel feel not right if I like kept it to myself. It's like
yeah.
there's joy and peace that I found that I know a lot of people are looking for, but I'm not going to tell you about it. So, yeah, I want to be as public with it as I can. And I know that it's the Lord who's brought me to this place. Like, I have so many stories about like God just blessing me in ways and like even my YouTube channel, like I didn't expect it to blow up like it has. It's just been the Lord just bringing these opportunities. And so, yeah, if he's brought me to this point, it would be pretty lame for me to be like, oh, I'm not going to talk about you once you get me to this point. Like, I think he has me here to share this message with people. So just want to be faithful in that.
That's amazing, and I think that's a really cool thing you're doing. So yeah, man. Fantastic. And if I remember, there's a parable somewhere in the Bible where it talks about like a father and his sons, and he gives each of them a, a like a coin or whatever, like a gold coin, and and then he leaves and he comes back and he sees how each one handled the money, and like one didn't do anything with it, just hid it. One doubled theirs, and then one started a business and like exponentially created it. And the message is pretty much like be a good steward of everything, including your money. And then, like you
Yeah,
said,
totally.
don't love money for money's sake, but love what you can do with it to help others.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. That's totally yeah. The parable of the talents. So that's one that's constantly on my mind. There's
Yeah.
another thing. I keep the widow's mite. I don't know if you remember that story, but there all these people put these coins in the treasury at the temple, and then a widow comes by and she only had 2 pennies. 2 mites is what they were called, and she put them into the temple, into the treasury. And Jesus said she gave more than all of them because they gave out of their excess, but
Yeah.
she gave. And so I have 2 ancient mites that I keep on my desk
No
just to
way.
remind me of, yeah, they're from 76 BC. And I keep them on my desk just to remind me, yeah, give to people, help people out. Don't accumulate things for yourself. Cause it's easy to fall into that of like, oh, I could go buy a yacht now. I could go buy, I mean, in Nebraska, there's not a lot of yachts or places to use yachts, but
Yeah.
that temptation's always there. So always have to be reminded.
That's amazing. Yeah, I agree. I think everybody should, whether it's tithing or whatever form of generosity they do. Like my wife and I, we spend pretty much all of our time and money rescuing abused and neglected animals just because like there's such a need for that and there's so much suffering there that like we can actively do something about it. And even if we don't have a ton of money, we have time and effort and, and that kind of thing. So however, to anybody listening, however you can kind of give back to those in need, go for it.
Yeah, that's a good message.
All right. Next question. How do you make time for everything?
Well, right now I don't. Right now I'm in kind of a transition stage of when I sold my business, I had nothing to do. Like my kids were like getting tired of me because we homeschool too.
Yeah.
And I was just always around and then now it kind of transitioned to a place where it's like I have AMAs every evening even. And so I'm trying to work out some boundaries maybe of, hey, I just have to say no to some things. And I'm kind of a people pleaser too. So like if somebody is looking for help, I'm like, oh, sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to be a little bit more, after 5 p.m. I'm kind of starting to say, no, sorry, that's going to be family time. I took my kids to Great Wolf Lodge, and that was difficult. I actually did 2 videos while I was there. So it's been difficult. I would say that's one of the most difficult things that I've been trying to work through for sure, and still trying to figure it out. And it's always going to be an adjustment. I'm thinking about hiring an assistant to help with scheduling. And yet we were talking about Twitter DMs. I think I haven't checked them for a couple days. Well, then at some point you get so far behind where you're just like, oh, what's the point of even checking them?
Yeah.
But I think I have like 120 unread, and so it's like I'll make some progress on them today. But no, it's been really difficult for sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine the scale you're on at this point. Like, I'm already overwhelmed with the amount of DMs I get on like Discord and Telegram and stuff. I won't even look at them until 7:30. I wake up at 4:30. I work on my other businesses till 7:30, and then I like catch up on my messages. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another thing too, I've been doing lives, and I'm like, hey, if you have questions, bring them on these lives, and let's just knock through a bunch of them rather than 20 people DMing me. Like let's hop on this live. I'll answer what I can. So that's been helpful too. But yeah, I don't really have any tips. Go to bed early. Get up early. I've learned that at night, if I stay up late, it's usually to binge watch TV or something.
Yeah.
If I get up early, it's to accomplish things, work out, read. So I've kind of learned going to bed early and getting up early is a good key to accomplishing more. But then you have to kind of work through, is life only about accomplishing more? So, I mean, that's another thing you have to wade through. I've been in parts of my life where I've been a workaholic.
Yeah.
And then you have to start to balance. Well, life's not just about building a business and getting things done. So just a lot of balances in life that you have to wade through.
I absolutely agree. And balancing work with family and and personal time is super important. So yeah, it's easy to let that get away from you.
Yeah. Well, I also too want to teach my kids, like, there's like a balance too. I want to teach them to work hard, but then not work too much. And so like, it's just difficult to find those balances sometimes. But no, I really have no tips for anyone else. So good luck, everyone, in your time management. One thing, I will say this: I've learned this, that there's only 24 hours in a day, and so again, as a man of faith, God does not intend for me to get done more than can be done in 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's crazy that there's 24-hour days, and he created us to sleep at least like a fourth of the day.
Right.
And a part of that, I think, is to teach us that, hey, you're not meant to get done everything that you want to get done. Like,
but God also created coffee.
True.
So
Touche. That's very true. But that's been helpful for me. Just, what? I did what I could do today. If I didn't get it done, I apologize to people. Sorry I didn't get to your DM. I only had 24 hours and didn't get to it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Speaking of all that, do you have a few minutes to go over some of your YouTube career questions?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So when did you start making YouTube videos, and why did you start making them?
Yeah, so when I got into crypto, I just was so fascinated by what was going on in the space. Especially in DeFi, I was just like, man, this is so crazy. Like all the things that are going on, and there are new projects coming out all the time. And I couldn't really find anyone in my life who wanted to talk about it with me. Like, my wife was kinda like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care. This isn't interesting." And, like, even my friends, even my investor friends were like, this is weird.
Yeah.
We don't care about these crabs that are making you, 300 bucks a day." And, so eventually I just, like, it was kinda out of, I just want people to know about this and no one will listen to what I'm saying. And so I just started making videos, and my goal was, like, not to ever pitch anything. It was just, "Hey, here's what I found and here's what I'm doing, and I just want other people to know." And then I really didn't expect, I kinda had, like, a goal of, like, in 6 months, if I can get 1,000 subscribers,
Yeah.
that would be good. I started, like, end of November of last year, and then I got 1,000 subscribers in, like, 4 weeks or something like that, and
What?
then it just went, I don't know, then it just kinda went crazy. It kinda starts to get parabolic once
Mhm.
people kinda start hearing about you, and then, somehow I became known as the AMA guy, has become my thing, and I do that because I'd get things wrong about the project, like their vision or their tokenomics. I would just not be totally right. I'd read through their white paper, but, like, inevitably you might get some things wrong.
Mhm.
So then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bring the team on and then
Yeah.
just explain what you're trying to do. Um, and I also noticed too, when I read white papers, I could be really impressed by the white paper and they would still rug pull. But when I
Mm.
talk to teams, no team that I've ever talked to that I've had a good feeling about has ever rug pulled.
Yeah.
Just when you talk to somebody, I don't know, you just get a good idea of their character and what they're out to do. So, yeah, then it's just kind of grown from there, and I really enjoy it. So I love it actually.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that leads into my next question. How has your channel grown so fast in such a short time? I think you might be the fastest growing YouTuber in the DeFi space, because you started in November and it's April now and you have over 36,000 subscribers. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and what's funny is, like, anything I do to try and grow my channel never works. Like, they say, like, "Oh, optimize for keywords," and things like that, and
Yeah.
whenever I try something, it, like, "Oh, that didn't work very well."
Yeah.
And this goes back to what I was talking about God just kinda doing things. But whenever I try to grow my channel, it doesn't work. What people, I think, like, is just when I come out and just say, "Hey, here's what I did. Here's my numbers." Like, those are my most popular videos, are when I just come out and say, "Hey, I invested this amount and this is what it's making me." And there's really, like, there's no subjectivity in the video at all. It's just like, I literally put in this amount of money and this is what it's making.
Hmm.
And they're actually, like, the easiest videos in the world to make because I don't even have to come up with any content. It's just, like, literally the truth of, here's what I did.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think, like, yeah, just authenticity. I think people don't like being sold. There's a lot of shilling. I don't even like the word shilling, but there's a lot of that goes on. And so I try not to do that. I try to just, hey, here's what I found that I think is cool. I also, one thing I struggle with ethically sometimes is I really like to help people out. And so if I see smaller teams that I don't know if I believe in what they're doing yet, but I like to give them a platform where, like, hey, you're a smaller team and you're working hard and I want people to have eyes on what you're doing.
Hmm.
And then sometimes, I get accused, "Oh, you shield them, they're not a good project." And it's like, well, you know what? As I've gotten bigger too, I've learned that you just can't please everybody. So I'm just like, you know what? If there's a team I want to have on my channel, I'll have them on my channel and
Yeah.
not give much thought to, oh, are people gonna like this? Um, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So big learning experience, but I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I think that's important, not to just, I don't know. There's a place for the paid shilling thing, but I it's not really for me either. If somebody wants to pay me to review their project in depth, I will gladly set aside hours to do that and put in the work. And then I see that as, okay, that's not me being a paid shill. That's me putting in a ton of effort to learn their stuff inside and out and be able to explain it to people who want to know more about it. But I will never lie about anything or, like, sell something that I don't believe in. Like if something sucks, I'll say it sucks, you know, and I'm sorry. Like, even,
Yeah.
you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep. Yep. And that was hard for me too because so I used to not take any money for anything.
Yeah.
But then like when I started having like 5 AMAs a day and I was not able to do anything else. Like my entire day was just back to back AMAs.
Yeah.
And so then I was talking to one of my mentors and he was just like, you're not, if you take money for the AMA, you're not taking money to shill, you're taking money because it's your time.
It's your
Like you just spent
time.
your entire day doing that. Like no other profession would you work a whole day and not expect any pay.
Yeah.
So I do take money now more for my time. So it's again, I'm like you. If I don't like the project, then I just tell them, hey, sorry, I'm not interested in bringing that on.
Yeah.
But especially with the AMAs, sometimes even if I don't like the project, I like to have the team on because it's like maybe I'm missing something.
Right.
Like Titanoforks. Like I had RingFi, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of the Titanoforks look very similar. And so there's a part of me who's like, nah, I don't want any more Titanoforks. But then when I bring on the teams, I see, oh, you have a vision that's bigger than what Titano was doing. And so it's like, well, I'm glad I brought on that team, even though I didn't really, from first glance, I didn't believe in what they were doing. I'm glad I brought them on because they explained to me their vision.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had to walk through that though. There's definitely some ethical lines that you have to maneuver, but I keep saying in this interview, it is what it is. But that's really maybe that's how I would sum up
Yeah.
my life. Is there's challenges and balances, but you are where you are, and you just kind of walk through them as you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are only so many hours in a day. And at the same time, it's important, you know, that you're using your influence to give other people a platform to share what they're working on, which is great. And if what they're working on isn't something that you really even like or think is a good idea, at least you still allow them to, you know, speak their truth about what they're working on, and let the viewers decide if that's for them or not. And then you can, you know, if I think it's important to just remain honest and transparent and just be like, oh, that's okay, or like, you know,
Yeah.
or if you really believe something's a good, then you know you could say I like that.
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel when I'm doing these videos. If I'm staying true to myself and I'm not like lying because somebody paid me and I feel like I need to pump their coin or something, that's when I feel like I've lost my way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've actually had a couple sponsors that ended up not paying me because I did the video, and then in the video I was like, yeah, I actually didn't really like this, or I'm not gonna play this game, or et cetera, et cetera. And they were like, hey, that was a terrible sponsored video. Like you basically said we were not good. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let me just give you your money back. Like that was so that
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like you just be true and be honest, and yeah, it'll work out. That's my philosophy.
Well, good on you. I've listened to so many of your videos, and that's one of the reasons I reached out to you to do this interview, because I respect that about you. There's so many, man, just so many YouTubers out there who are just willing to say anything for a buck. And you know, I think a lot of people who watch you appreciate that you don't, and I think that's one of the reasons why your channel has grown so fast.
Yeah, I definitely think people are looking for authenticity. That's why Jesse Eckel is. If you've ever watched him, he
I
was one
love
of the
Jesse.
first.
That's one of the reasons I got into DeFi. Actually, is
Yep.
I saw his Titano video and I aped in right away, and I killed it with it. Thanks, Jesse, if you're listening.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually my brother lives near Jesse, and so I'm gonna go be able to hang out with Jesse a little bit next week. So
Oh,
that'll be
nice.
fun. But he's
Tell
kind of
him
the same with you.
Alex said, "What's up, man?"
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
let him know.
yeah,
But yeah, he was one of the first YouTubers I watched when I got into DeFi also, and I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. He makes a video about a project and he just says, I put in $1,000 and a month later, this is what I made. And so I really respected that and just the authenticity. And so that's kind of what I've planned to do too. Now mine has morphed a little bit because now I'm like, the AMA guy
yeah.
and like get into projects early guy. And so, I mean, it's kind of morphed as time's gone on, but that's kind of what I started out to do. So,
And you guys have very different styles. Your style is more akin to my style as well, where I don't have time for editing. I'm just like, look, I'm so busy. I'm just, if I have something to shoot and I want to say, I'm going to turn on the camera, I'm going to let it spill, I'm going to let it go. And if it takes an hour to get it all out, whatever, I'm throwing it up on YouTube, deal with it.
Yep. Nope. That's totally. Yeah. Another thing when I started my channel is I was like, if there's something I don't want to do, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I don't want to do video editing.
Yes.
So I'm just not going to do it. And I don't want to do thumbnails. So I hired somebody to do my thumbnails.
Man, that takes so long. People don't
yeah.
realize how hard it is to get like a thumbnail right.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm terrible at it still, you could tell. So
yeah, well, you know, my recommendation, I have a good thumbnail guy. I can get you in touch if you want, but
hook me up, man.
Yeah, he's a lifesaver. Like every night, because now I'm doing like with my lives, sometimes 4 videos a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's he's just a lifesaver. I tell him, hey, can I please have these for tomorrow? And he just pumps them out, and people love them. I get comments all the time on my thumbnails, which again is another thing where like I had nothing to do with it. Like that's him. Like
that's amazing.
People come to me and they're like, I love your channel. Your thumbnails are amazing. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's like the one part of my channel that I have nothing to do with. So thanks.
It's amazing how stuff like that works. I actually had a guy from Finland who has been DMing me for a while, loves my videos. And he's like, you know, I'm a video editor, and, you know, would you be willing to let me volunteer to try to edit some of your videos to cut out all of your small talk and stuff and like get your really good points back to back to back? And I'm like, you're willing to do that? Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Please. Yeah, I've tried to do that too. My problem is like often the videos I'm making need to be out like that day. Like,
yeah.
Like there's a launch tomorrow. I'm doing a comb video because they're launching a new node thing tomorrow and it's like, well, I need this video out like today. So I don't have time for anybody to edit it or, but yeah, it's pretty cool actually. Comb's got some cool stuff
going on. And their chart, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's news about right what they're doing. Well, I don't want to turn this into a Comb interview, but
it's whatever.
But it just as they realized early that nodes were not going to work. They looked at the tokenomics and they realized very early, oh man, this is not going to work long term. Yeah. And so they got out of nodes way earlier. They just put a cap on their nodes and they're like, we're going to do other things. And so they've got some cool stuff. So you have to watch my video today, but they have some nodes that don't use any. So none of the cost of the nodes is put into the rewards pool. So all rewards given to the holders is from profits generated. And it's going to be like 200% APR given out in Bitcoin and Ethereum or Phantom. So you can pick, do you want a Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Phantom? It's going to be like 200% APR. So it's pretty cool what they're doing.
That's an interesting model to use the profits, not the sunk capital. Yeah, that's smart.
There's
that's
zero Ponzi elements in it at all. So
well, I'm looking forward to watching that one later. So when I see it go up, I'm gonna put that on, and my wife will have to put up with that while we eat dinner. So
yeah, there you go.
Speaking of which, I missed a question earlier. My wife wanted me to ask your wife, how do you put up with the amount of time he puts into this crypto stuff?
Well, I think, that's a good question. Well, I think she's a little thankful because when I was retired, I was like constantly around. Like we homeschool our 3 kids, and she'd be like teaching them. And like I was a math minor in college, so she'd be teaching them math, and I would come in and be like, "Well, here's how I drew factor trees." And she'd look at me and she's like, "You know, I've been doing this for a while, and it's been fine without you. And do you want to like, you know, there's some guys that you could go get lunch with?" I'm like, "No, they're all working. What do I do?" So she appreciates it, and we have a pretty busy house. We were talking about earlier. We got 3 kids of our own, and we also have 3 college students that live with us. Wow. And so she's pretty busy, just, you know, kind of hanging out with them. She's kind of the mom to all of them. And so I don't know. We keep pretty busy, but I think she's okay.
Well, that's good. I could just imagine you going up like, "Hey kids, you want to learn about differential equations today?"
That's basically how it goes. I was honored that they asked my son. Someone asked my son, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" He's 8, and he said, "I want to be an investor." And I was
Wow.
like, "Oh, nice! I'm getting something across correct to him." So that's what he wants to be when he grows up. But
That
then I asked him, "Why do you want
yeah.
to be an investor?" And he said, "Well, because you make money and you just sit there all day, or something like that."
Smart kid.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, I
Smart
guess
kid.
that just kind of sum it up." But
That's hilarious. That he is well beyond his years already.
yeah, yeah, he is. And that, and I've struggled with that because it's like I want to teach him, well, no, like to become an investor, usually you have to work really hard first.
Yep.
You can't just start as an investor. You have to like create the money that you're going to invest. And that
Right.
usually to generate that money to invest takes a lot of hard work. So I'm trying to, yeah, I'm working through how do I teach my son that? Because he didn't see the hard work part.
Right.
He got old enough by the time I was already retired, basically. So, you
Yeah.
know,
All the late nights behind a book or a computer, getting your education and everything, and then taking that and leveraging that to make a software business. So I could tell you, 5-year computer science engineering degree is no joke. I've been there.
yeah, yeah. Well, and my wife will attest. Well, we were in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I'd stay up all night long coding for this software,
Yeah.
and we just had the one room. I had a Bowflex in that 1 bedroom, and so my typing would wake her up, and then she'd wake up at like 2 in the morning, and I'd be doing like pec flies on this Bowflex. And yeah, she'll attest. That was a tough time, but we made it through it. And then yeah, it's been nice since then. So
That's awesome when the Bowflex becomes part of your office furniture too.
yeah, oh yeah.
So all right, back to the YouTube questions. It seems like you're making 2 or 3 videos a day on average. How do you generate so much detailed content?
Um, yeah, I mean the AMAs are kind of a big thing. I don't really want to be making this many videos. It's kind of out of necessity. Um, just because, well, there's a lot of launches, and so projects are like, hey, we need this before this launch.
Hmm.
So like Comb is launching their thing tomorrow, so it's like I'd rather have not as much content. I'd rather have like one video a day for me would be ideal. Maybe one and then one live.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, like, well, Comb is launching their pods tomorrow, so I need to make a Comb video. Yield Hunt launched yesterday, so I need to do a Yield Hunt video. Um, Unicorn is launching, I think tomorrow or the 13th, so they need a video. So it's kind of out of necessity. So it's really like I've not had any problem finding content. My biggest problem has been like excluding content.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, sorry, you're just not going to be able to get on here. And one thing that I've started to keep an eye out for is like if a if a project is failing and they think that a video from me is going to like save the project, it doesn't work. Like
Right.
what happens is if the project's failing, then like a video from me might bump it up, but then it's just going to go back to failing again. And then they might be like, oh, we need another video. And it's like, well, there's a problem with your project. Like this is
Yeah.
not um, I can like help amplify a project, but I can't like fix a project. So that's one thing I've started to keep an eye out for is like, hey, you're thinking that a video from me is going to turn your project around, but like that's not what videos can't. Marketing can't do that. Marketing
Yeah.
can just amplify what's there. So
I agree. If there's something fundamentally wrong with the project, no amount of marketing is going to fix it. Like you said, it might give it a little boost for a little bit, but if the fundamentals change and something's wrong with it, then yeah, what can you do, right?
right, yep. So, but yeah, I've had no problem getting together content. I have videos scheduled out for the next like 30 days,
Man.
basically. And it's kind of become like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So
Yeah.
if people are like, hey, we need that video, then I'm like, okay, I'll do that one tomorrow. Because they're so just so you know, for clients who are waiting for videos, squeaky wheel gets the grease a lot of times, but I'm trying not to do more than 2 released videos and then maybe 1 or 2 lives. I'm hoping that eventually it'll slow down a little bit. I'd like just 1 video a day would be like really good cadence for me,
Yeah.
but just has not been that for a while. So
Retirement ain't easy, is it?
it's not, and if I didn't enjoy it so much, I'd probably be like more alarmed. Just like, hey man,
Yeah.
my schedule's so packed. But I really enjoy like pretty much every AMA I do. I pretty much enjoy. There's been very few where I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it.
That's good. I love this so much. I'm having such a blast doing this. Like I spent like most of my life now behind a computer programming in like a little cubicle. Like this is just so much more fun talking to cool, interesting people from all over the world who are super smart and like talented and have diverse skills and knowledge and experiences. So it's just like my world has opened up so fast in the past 3 weeks that I've been doing this. Like I'm talking to you right now. This is crazy. So
Yeah. Well, and like you said, people from all over the world. Like I'm a majority of people that I interview, yeah, are Sweden, Italy, Dubai. Everybody, there's a lot of people in Dubai. That's for
it's a
a lot
crypto.
of.
It's like a crypto epicenter right now.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And so it's like I've not been much of a traveler. Like I've lived in Lincoln, Nebraska my whole life, but this has been a chance. I've just connected with so many people from so many parts of the world. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So, do you have any tips for anybody out there thinking about starting a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I would recommend just start putting out content. I think sometimes people wait, oh, it needs to be perfect before I start. And mine's like my content is very rough. Like we were talking about mics. Like
Yeah.
this is a $10 lapel mic that I even tried getting fancier mics and they didn't sound good to me. And
Yeah.
so I've just been sticking with this and I don't edit my videos much at all. And then, maybe slowly but surely I'm like improving. Like I have better thumbnails now and, I have an intro and an outro now and things like that. But just
Fancy.
get started, just put out content, see if people like it. And I will say too that it's not for everyone. So, I mean, try it for a while, put out content, see if people connect with it. See if you like it. If you don't like it, then don't do it. Don't try to do something every day that you don't enjoy doing. If you
Yeah.
dread getting in front of the camera, then don't become a YouTuber. Like that's because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to have the umption to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like working out. Like if you have a workout that's so terrible that you hate it, then you won't do it very long because you hate it. If you
Right.
have a diet that you hate, you're not going to stick with it. So you have to kind of find, is there a workout plan that I enjoy? Is there a diet that I can still enjoy? And do you enjoy making videos? And then I would just say, just start making content and it might be slow at first. Like it takes, some kind of catalyst to get over some of those initial hurdles. Put yourself out there and opportunities will come.
And I can second what you're saying with just start putting out content. Like my first couple videos were just on my cell phone. Like I just stuck my cell phone up on a thing and just hit record and I just stood in front of it just like blah 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 and people loved it and I'm like, oh man, I didn't spend a dime to do this.
Yep.
Everything I use is free except this. I finally upgraded to a $20 Twitch streamer mic from Amazon. Very fancy. But I mean,
Yeah.
when I'm doing my AMAs, like I basically have always been using this little $5 like little headset mic, and
Yep.
now I'm using my laptop webcam. I'm pretty fancy now, if I do say so myself. But
Yep. Well, and it's fine to like, get better as time goes on. But as long as you don't use like, oh, I don't have a good mic as like, okay, I can't make content. I don't have a good
yes,
mic, or I don't have a good camera. I can't make content. It's like, no, just start with where you're at, and just start putting stuff out there and see how people react to it. And I've talked to YouTubers who have not been successful, and there's nothing wrong with that too. Like maybe people maybe you're not meant to do YouTube. Like that's fine too. Like don't I don't know. It's just people, I think, put too much pressure on themselves and
Yeah.
get in their heads. Just put yourself out there and see if people connect.
And I don't think success is like a great metric for it. I think what you said earlier, are you having fun doing it? If you're not having fun doing this, then why are you doing it? So I don't even know what my channel's going to turn into eventually, if it ever will, but like I'm just having fun blasting out these videos. I don't even listen to them back. I don't listen to myself in my videos. Once I'm just like done, whatever, good enough. I just like upload it on the next
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's good too, is to get clear on your goals. Like, do you want to be a full-time YouTuber who does nothing else?
Yeah.
And it's good to just kind of think through some of that. I used to want to be I play a lot of Call of Duty Warzone, and I used to want to be like a Twitch streamer.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
like, honestly, this is kind of childish, but when I first retired, I played a lot of Call of Duty because I had nothing else to do.
Jimmy.
And when I was like, I should become a Twitch streamer. Like, I'm pretty good, and I have like good camera presence. And that was kind of like for a short while. It didn't last very long, but for a short while, I was like, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna become a professional Call of Duty Twitch streamer. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, but then I had things didn't work out. So I ended up here. But I'm glad I ended up here. I think this is a better fit for me.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I also was Twitch streaming like Minecraft and Age of Empires 2, and like I had like 7 viewers at once one time, and I'm like, I made
Yeah.
it. I made it, guys. I Oh, all right. So,
Yeah, you get all nervous and you're like, oh my goodness. Oh
there are people watching me right now. Yeah. So, speaking of uh YouTube or other social media platforms, what is the craziest thing someone has said to you on YouTube or any other social media platform?
What's the craziest thing? Well, I don't want to call anyone out
You don't
necessarily,
need to say any
but
names or anything like
okay.
that.
Um, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are, I appreciate you. But I have a guy who he like messages me pretty much every day. And then sometimes he'll be like, hey, it's 2 in the morning here. I'm still waiting for a video from you today. I'm not going to bed until your video comes out. Every day he messages me. He's like, hey, I'm bored just sitting at my house. When's the video coming out tonight? And it kind of seems like I love you, but it seems like that's pretty much the extent of what he does with his time is watch my
You've got
videos.
a
So
super fan.
yeah, he's a super fan. That's a good way to put it. But yeah,
Yeah.
he messaged me. Hey, it's 2 a.m. here, and I've still not seen a video out from you. Not going to bed until it comes out. And I was like, dude, go to bed, man. Like, what are you doing?
Jimmy, that's my other account, by the way. Just
Oh, no.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, but also you should go to bed. Like, I don't want that pressure on me.
Now that's hilarious that you've got such hardcore fans in like 5 months. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. So, and then sometimes I get like pretty much anything I post on Twitter, you get some people find a way to nitpick it and like, oh, you're stupid. People find a way to be negative about anything. So like I
Yeah.
posted I was going to Great Wolf Lodge with my kids, and people, most people were like, oh, have fun, yada yada. But some people are like, this is so irresponsible to post where you're going and security these days. And then I posted something about Harry Potter because we were watching Harry Potter, and some people were posting, hey, you're supposed to be a Christian. Why are you talking about wizards and things? And I don't know.
Have you not read Deuteronomy, Jimmy?
Right, exactly. No, witchcraft. So I've just kind of learned that people will just find ways to be negative about things. So
Yeah.
there's way more positive comments than negative comments, though. So I just kind of like, you take the positive people and you fill up, and then I kind of just ignore the negative people. I used to try to like respond and argue with them about why it's not unsafe for me to say I'm going to Great Wolf Lodge. But eventually I was like, you know what, that's fine. I don't have time to respond to it. I don't have time to respond to all the positive people, let alone the negative people. So
Right. And I think that's something that if somebody is serious about getting into YouTube, they should come to terms with that kind of stuff early on, because you're making
Yes.
yourself a public figure. And even if you try to use like an alias or something, like it's super easy to find somebody if you can see them and you listen to them talking like more than like an hour or two. You're going to pick up details and like it. So you have to not really care. You got to kind of be a little crazy in that regard. Like if somebody's, like, there are crazy people out there and if they want to come approach you in real life, like you might have to deal with that.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep. I was at a restaurant and I had somebody message, they DM'd me later and said, "Hey, we saw you eating at this restaurant." Okay,
No. Oh,
that's
man.
cool. Nice.
Yikes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna just say it again, but it is what it is. I don't know why that keeps coming to mind with everything. It's like there's problems, but it is what it is. Again, I could get rid of all these problems, but if I just, okay, I'm not going to make YouTube videos anymore,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't have these problems. But I enjoy what I'm doing, so the problems kind of come with the territory. So
Yeah. I think that's a healthy attitude. It is what it is. What can you do? So, all right, let's, do you have a few more minutes to run through some DeFi crypto questions or do you have another meeting?
I have a meeting in 13 minutes.
Oh, man.
So I have like another. We can do like another 6 or 7 minutes.
All right. All right. Thank you. I know I'm abusing your time here. So
no, you're good. You're good.
I'm just going to pick some of my favorite questions here because some of these are from people in the community. What has been your best play to date?
Definitely drip. So I got into drip at like $8, and then and I got in a bunch of other people at $8, and I got referral bonuses from all them. So I had a big chunk of drip. Then it went up to $200.
Yeah.
And so I only put in 5K in drip, but I quickly found I had like 400K. My drip was worth like 400K.
Wow.
And
Stun a
so
breezy over here, man.
yeah, that was by far. And that's, that's one of the things where I realized, hey, diversify, because drip was not like my top project. Like I put in 5K into drip. I put 70K into Olympus DAO.
Yeah, and just as many, and like what, 90K into strong nodes?
Yep.
Yeah.
And strong did very well. Olympus, I lost almost all of it. And then drip, I 80x'd or whatever it ended up being. And so that, because of that diversification, I was able to, then I had a real solid base to like, okay, now I have a lot of money that I can, disperse around. And so then I've been able to diversify, and it's nice because drip has been way back down. It's down to like 35 or something.
I've been accumulating in these zones right now. I'm starting my drip position. Yeah.
Yep. And I think it'll come back, but it's been nice that my numbers are similar to where they were a couple months ago, but it was 70% drip and now it's like 30% drip.
Yeah.
And so my position's a lot safer than it was just a few months ago. But yeah, that's by far been my best play to date.
Well done. That is a great play. You got in at a great time, and also the referrals are huge.
Yeah.
So, how many times have you been rug pulled?
I've been rug pulled badly. Ring. I was rug pulled, and this was back when I didn't like have a ton of
the old ring, by the way, not
the old ring,
the
not
old
ring
ring.
5.
Yeah,
Yes.
just anybody listening.
The old ring.
There's a new ring and a ring 5, and I have AMAs with them on my channel actually, and they're super good. But the old ring I've heard nightmares about. So yeah.
Yeah, and that was back when I didn't have like a ton of I didn't have as much. And so I think I was rug pulled about maybe like $7,000, which at the time was like a pretty devastating thing for me, especially when you get these financial goals that you're trying to hit. And then, not only did I not make the return I was hoping, but you actually, go down, and it's really hard to hit financial goals when you go down. So that one hurt the most of any of them. But it was a really good lesson. Like I didn't even know what rug pulls were until that happened. I was like, wait, projects can just like go out of existence like this? Like I didn't even know that. And then Olympus was not a rug pull, but I put in 70K and then it ended up being worth like 5K.
Yeah.
So that was not a rug pull, but I learned that hey, you can lose a lot of money pretty quickly. Elixir was one that I was like pretty close with the team even. So they would not do an AMA, which that's one of the things I look for now. If a team's refusing to do an AMA, then I'm like, I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
gonna. If you're not doxxed and you refuse to do an AMA, then it's like, man, why won't you talk with me?
Yeah.
But I had communicated with them quite a bit, and then they ended up. I don't even know it was a rug pull. I think they just like got overwhelmed, and their tokenomics weren't working out, and they just were like, "Hey, we're throwing in the towel. This isn't going to work." And I'm like, "Well, we've invested a lot of money." Those are really the only. Trying to think. I don't really think I've been rug pulled by. Maybe for like, there might be something I put in like $500 just as like um, I can't really think of any others. Those would be probably the two main ones.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with what you said about being able to at least hear the team talking. If I early on I didn't do this, and it was probably pretty stupid of me, but now I don't go into a project unless I've actually heard the person in charge of the project talking, because just hearing their voice, even if you can't see the person, just hearing their voice, you can generally tell if your gut instinct can tell you like this person's trying to rip me off or something.
Right.
You can tell
Yep.
generally, unless they're like a total Tinder swindler level psychopath. That's a whole different. If I don't know if you've seen that documentary. If you haven't, it's great. But yeah,
I've not, but I will watch it.
unless they're like a master level con man or something, like you can generally tell if somebody has bad intentions when you're talking to them. So,
Yeah, yeah, and I can tell pretty quickly from talking to somebody their intention, if they have bad intentions or good intentions, if they're intelligent or if they're kind of, I don't want to say stupid, but like if they're not, if I feel like they're not thinking, they're not able to think through this project quite right, how they're going to handle stress, like I can tell pretty easily, like if how they're going to handle stress, how they're going to handle criticism. You can tell a lot just from like a short conversation with somebody. That's why I love the AMAs,
yeah, me
and just
too.
keep doing them.
Yeah, and I like the AMAs are crazy. Like I've already got like over 5 AMAs lined up just in this week, and they're just like more people are asking me for AMAs, and I'm like, yeah, great. And I love it though because you learn so much about a project, more so than reading a white paper can tell you. And speaking of this, my follow up question is: has a developer from a project ever lied directly to your face?
As a project, ooh, hmm. Um, I don't think. Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think anyone's ever directly lied. Now, people have maybe like they've like maybe disguised something, maybe. Like they might. Sometimes people don't have a good answer for my question, so they make stuff up. Might be like if I ask some projects, hey, what sets you up? You're a Titano fork. What sets you apart from Titano? Sometimes I can tell they're like don't know, like they don't have a good answer,
Yeah,
and so then they'll kind of be like, well, we have a this or that. We have a good community or something like that. I don't think anyone has like outright lied to me to my face that I know of.
yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think, but I don't think so. I think it's hard for people to like look you in the eye, and just tell lies. Like it takes a special type of person to do that.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and I don't think there's that many. I don't think there's a ton of like super bad actors in the space. Now there are a lot of what we call rug pulls that are just they were more negligent, like they just didn't understand the tokenomics of what they were getting into, and
Yeah,
then the project fell apart. That's not really a rug pull. They weren't trying to be malicious.
right.
Even Ring, I don't know that Ring, the original one,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
trying to be malicious. I think they just didn't understand tokenomics very well. Um, but no, I think the answer is no. When I look somebody in the face, I think in general they are pretty upfront about what they're trying to do.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. So along the lines of that, do you believe in the quote, "In code we trust"?
Um, no, no, I don't because I mean there's a part the code definitely plays a part in things, but the code is not the end all. I would honestly sometimes I would rather the code be malleable and the
Mm-hmm.
team be competent, because sometimes you need to make adjustments.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm not going to call out any projects in particular, but for example, there's two ways you could look at it. I won't say which is positive and which is negative, but like some Titano forks or Seifu forks, these taxes are hard coded, and
Right.
sometimes you're able to adjust them. And so there's two ways you could look at that. If they're adjustable, you could look at it, well, if they're a bad actor and they can set the taxes to 99%, that could be bad for you. But on the other hand, if it's hard coded, well, the project's falling apart. There's whales selling too much. We need to raise the taxes. Well, we can't because it's hard coded. So again, I would just rather have the AMA and get to know the team. And I'd rather have a team that I trust with bad code
Yeah.
than a malicious team with good code. So
It's easier to change code than it is to change people.
yes, that's a good way to put it. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it. So no, I don't. I mean, I know that's kind of the philosophy behind the blockchain in a lot of ways, but sometimes you need to change. Like projects need to pivot all the time. Like
Yeah.
there's no projects I know of that haven't needed to pivot, and so I mean, I like for preventing rug pulls, I like audits. I like multi-sig. And sometimes audits are looking for vulnerabilities.
Right.
Vulnerabilities are more dangerous than malicious code, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but no, in general, I'm looking at the people more than the code. I've not, there's been very little code that I've looked at.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of AMAs.
That's a great answer. I totally agree with you on that. I think it's more about the people than the code because the technology is evolving so fast in this space. Like the code's going to change no matter what. I mean, it's going to evolve, and you got to have the right people steering the ship, and also, you have to be able to trust them that they're not going to just run that thing into a glacier or sail off into the other direction with all your money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there's so much code to look through. Like,
Oh, so
I do
much.
like I like Kryptonaires. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Mhm.
they're a group. They have Crypto Sensei. He has like a staff of like 35 people, and he has coders that will look through all the code of projects. And so that's been really helpful for me. Is if Kryptonaires basically says, "Hey, the code on this project's good," then I'm like, okay, their code's good. But I don't have
Okay.
time to go do that, and I don't think most people have time to go do that. So yeah, I'd rather talk to the team personally.
Awesome. Who are your favorite developers you've spoken with and why?
Um, so I love the team at Tavern, the Tavern Project, just because they're younger guys and they went through a lot of like, they were trying to decide if they should dox or not dox, but a lot of people were kind of, spreading rumors about them, and there was just a lot of drama around them and previous projects they'd worked on, and they were just young guys trying to figure it out and wade through everything. And I don't know, it was fun for me to just kind of walk through it with them as kind of I'm 34, but I'm an older guy, I guess, to them. So that was really satisfying,
Yeah.
walking through that with them. The founder of Elephant Money,
Yeah.
Tony Perkins, I think his name's Tony Perkins, but he's an MIT graduate, and he's probably the smartest developer that I've talked
I
with.
would love to talk with him sometime.
Yeah, he was. We were doing an AMA, and midway through, I was like, "Man, you're too smart. Like, I can't put this AMA on my channel. Like, it doesn't. Nobody's gonna get it." Uh, so he's probably the smartest. I love the team at EMP Money,
hmm
AJ and the team there. They've just have really gotten to know that team a lot. And then I'm on the advisory team for a bunch of projects where I kind of just give advice, like El Taco Node, and Heroes and Villains is a play to earn game where I'm kind of helping advise. Um, I don't know. There's so many. I've enjoyed just meeting so many people and talking to so many people.
Yeah.
So
And I know you got to go in a minute. Final questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And do you have any parting thoughts or advice for viewers before we wrap this up?
yeah, so I don't really see myself anywhere in the future. I don't really have like plans, but some people have been telling me that I need to get some plan, like have a vision for what I'm going to do, not for myself, but they've said that like, hey, I think the DeFi space needs you,
hmm
and so you're doing a disservice by not like having a plan for how you're going to do that, or how you're going to be involved. So I've started to think more about that because I was kind of thinking, well, I don't care where I end up. But then people have been flipping it around and saying, well, yeah, you might not care, but like, what if you can help people? That you should care if you're, thinking about that. And I hadn't thought about that it's kind of selfish to not have a plan if you're helping people. So I just to continue in the DeFi space, and maybe that's my niche, is DeFi in particular. There's not a lot of other YouTubers who are focused on this space,
Yeah.
and maybe particularly protecting new investors and teaching them how to wade through. Like I come from traditional finance, so a lot of this stuff I kind of take for granted about like taking profits,
Yeah.
and then I realized that some of my audience didn't know some of these things, and they were losing a lot of money. I was like, how is my audience losing money and I'm making money? And I realized well, they're not taking profit. They're buying high, selling low. And so I've just, a lot of those principles that are just investing principles, take profit when it's high, sell when it's low, buy, find teams you believe in, those types of things. So that's kind of where I see myself, is just kind of maybe being, like one of the central figures in the DeFi space in particular. And, as we get, the government starts getting regulation and things like that, maybe being a part of helping mesh that. I don't know exactly. I'm more of a one day at a time guy, but
okay.
And I guess parting words is the first thing: spend more time thinking about how you're going to help people with your money than how you're going to make your money. If you find ways to help people, I think the money will flow to you. And just be safe. Like, try not to lose money. Just be careful. Don't get rich quick thoughts. Like, be very disciplined and just like, hey, I like this project. I'm going to get in early. I'm going to take profits. Don't compound too much. I guess that's about all I have. It's all the wisdom I have.
Well, thank you so much. This was a very enlightening interview, and I'm sure that everybody who hears this is going to get as much or more out of it than I did today. So again, I think that's a great goal you've got there, to be somebody in the space who people can look to for guidance as they come into these kind of choppy waters, and I hopefully people listen to people like you who really have their best interests at heart. And by the way, none of that was financial advice, for the record.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Can I add one more thing too?
Of course.
It just came to me.
Yeah.
I think too, especially for young men, they're like, young men and riches have like a really, like, there's a lot of danger in that, of young men going after riches, going after get rich quick. And so I think like I would just kind of came to me, but I think one of my passions is really helping younger men figure out what they're doing with their life. And, that's it. Helping younger men figure out their life. And I think the DeFi space is mostly younger men.
Yeah,
and they're mostly younger men looking to get rich. And
Yeah.
so like, just kind of helping people wade through that, not just helping them get rich, but helping them figure out like, man, is that even what you want to be doing? And what are you going to do when you get rich? And so yeah, all that put together.
Well, whether you realize it or not, you're a mentor to 36,000 plus people at this point, and probably going forward, many, many more. So yeah, you're the position you put yourself in. You're now a mentor to all these people, and I appreciate that you respect that position you're in. So
awesome. Well, Thank you, man.
All right,
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This interview was awesome. I'm gonna share it everywhere, and I hope we can collaborate and do something again in the future.
Yeah, dude, love to have you on my channel too, and shoot me over links, and I'll get them posted like on Twitter and stuff.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome, man. Take care.
All right, you too, James. See ya.
Bye.